The late afternoon sun beat down on the streets of Port Harcourt, turning the air thick and heavy. Honks and shouts tangled together in the traffic, while hawkers weaved between. Cars selling everything from chilled sachet water to plantain chips. Chidinma balanced her handbag on her shoulder as she stepped out of the bank. She had just collected her salary, the first in 3 months, and her mind was already running through the bills waiting at home. Her phone buzzed. "Mama, NMA, abig buy bread on your way. And don't stay too long, it's getting late." She smiled faintly. Mama and her bread. "Yes, Ma," she texted back. She didn't notice the dark blue Toyota Hiace van idling by the roadside. She began the short walk toward the main bus stop, weaving past small shops and Okada riders calling out for passengers. She was less than 10 minutes from home. Then, in the space of a heartbeat, everything changed. A shadow moved beside her. A man in a black face cap stepped out from between two parked cars. "Excuse me," he began. Before she could react, strong hands gripped her arms. A sharp chemical smell filled her nose, a cloth pressed over her face. She tried to scream, but her voice was swallowed by the fabric. Her handbag clattered to the ground. The world tilted, blurred, then went black. When she opened her eyes, the light was dim and the air stank of fuel and dust. She was lying on the cold metal floor of a moving vehicle. She twisted, panic clawing at her chest. 2 men sat in the front seats, speaking in low tones. She could only catch fragments. Call her family. Big money. Her heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear them. Outside, the city she knew was slipping away, swallowed by roads that led somewhere far darker. The living room was dimly lit, the small rechargeable lamp casting soft shadows on the faded cream walls. A generator hummed faintly outside, shared by 2 neighboring flats. "Mama, she's not back," Somto asked again, pacing in front of the door. "No," Mama replied, her voice edged with worrying. "She left the bank hours ago. She was supposed to buy bread on her way." She checked her phone for the 10th time. Last seen, 5:43 p.m. It was now 8:21 p.m. "She always calls," Somto muttered. "Even when she's running late. This isn't normal." Mama didn't reply. She sat quietly on the couch, eyes glued to her phone screen, fingers trembling slightly. Her heart had been unsettled since sunset. She had tried calling Chidinma over and over. No response. Not even ringing. She finally stood. Maybe her battery died. Or God forbid maybe her phone got stolen. "Let's go and check the bus stop." They stepped into the night, Somto holding a torchlight, Mama holding tight to her wrapper. They searched the street corner, the shops, the area boys nearby. They asked pepper sellers, kick drivers, a meat pie vendor. Nobody had seen anything. Her phone still didn't ring. By 10:02 p.m., they went to the local police station. The officer at the front desk barely looked up. "She's an adult, Obby. Maybe she goes somewhere. You can come back after 24 hours. That's when it becomes a missing person case." Mama exploded. "My daughter doesn't disappear like that. She always comes home. She just got paid today. What if something has happened?" The officer sighed, sitting up a little straighter. "You said she went to the bank. Which one?" "Zenith, Mile 1 branch. We'll write a report for now, but I'm just telling you how things work." Mama clutched Somto's arm tightly as they walked out. "My spirit is not at peace," she whispered. "God, please bring my child home." Back at home, the night dragged on like slow poison. Somto scrolled endlessly through Chidinma's Instagram and WhatsApp, looking for any clue, last post, last status, last chat. Nothing unusual. No signs of danger. Then Mama's phone buzzed. A call from a hidden number. She answered with a shaky hello. A moment of silence. Then a deep male voice came through, slow and calm. "We have your daughter. Don't go to the police again if you want to see her alive. We'll call back with instructions." The line went dead. The phone slipped from Mama's hand. The next call came at 7:15 a.m., just as the first rays of sunlight slipped into the living room. Mama hadn't slept. She sat on the couch, wrapper pulled tightly around her shoulders, eyes bloodshot. Somto snatched the phone before the second ring. Held. The same deep male voice from the night before spoke. Listen carefully. Your daughter is alive. If you want her to stay that way, you will give us 10 million naira. Mama's mouth fell open. 10 million? We don't. Quiet, woman, the voice cut in sharply. You have 3 days. If you involve the police again, you will get her back. In pieces. Somto's hands shook. Please, we don't have that kind of money. A pause, then the voice said, almost casually, you have until Friday, 6 p.m. We'll call to tell you where to bring it. Remember, no police, no tricks. The line went dead. The room was silent except for the low hum of the fridge. Mama stared at Somto, her lips trembling. 10 million. She whispered. Even if we sell this house, we can't get that. Somto rubbed his face, pacing the floor. They're serious, Mama, we have to find a way. Mama looked at him sharply. And you think we won't need help? We need to go back to the police. No, Somto said firmly. If they find out, they'll kill her. We have to be smart. Later that day, Somto made quiet visits to an uncle who ran a small transport business, to a church elder, to an old friend who owed him money. The most anyone could offer was 50,000 here, 30,000 there. By evening, they had barely 200,000 naira. Mama sat in the corner, wringing her hands. This is not enough. God, what do we do? Somewhere across the city, in a dusty warehouse on the outskirts, Chidinma sat on a plastic chair, hands bound, eyes fixed on the cracked cement floor. The men spoke in low tones nearby, counting money from another kidnapping. One of them, a short man with a scar on his cheek, crouched beside her. You better pray your family loves you enough to pay, he said with a cold smile. Because if they don't. He dragged his thumb slowly across his throat, then stood and walked away. Chidinma closed her eyes and whispered, God, please, don't let me die here. By Thursday morning, the living room table was covered in small piles of cash, crumpled notes of 500 and 1,000, hastily collected from relatives, neighbors, and church members. Somto counted for the third time. 870,000, he muttered. His shoulders sagged. We're not even close. Mama sat opposite him, head in her hands. We can't tell them this. They'll kill her. The phone rang. A hidden number. Somto picked up. Held. The deep male voice was sharper now. We told you 10 million. Tomorrow is your deadline. Somto's voice cracked. Please, we've tried. We only have. I didn't ask what you have. The man snapped. Maybe you need motivation. There was shuffling. Then Chidinma's voice, weak, trembling. Mama, Somto, please. A sharp slap cracked through the line, followed by her muffled cry. That's just a warning, the kidnapper said coldly. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. 10 million. No excuses. The line went dead. Mama collapsed into tears. Somto felt like the air had been punched out of his lungs. Meanwhile, in the warehouse, Chidinma sat on the floor, cheek stinging from the slap. Her hands were numb from the tight ropes. She kept replaying the sound of her mother's voice in her head, trying to hold on to hope. The man with the scar crouched beside her again. Tomorrow's the big day, he said with a grin. Better pray your family values you. She stared at him, silent, hiding the tears burning in her eyes. That night, Somto called Tund, an old secondary school friend who now worked quietly with the special anti-robbery squad. Tund, Somto whispered, I need your help. My sister, they took her. There was a long pause on the other end. If I help you, Tund said, you have to trust me completely. But if the kidnappers suspect anything, she's gone. Are you sure you want to take that risk? Somto looked at Mama, still sobbing in the corner. His chest felt like it was splitting. He had less than 24 hours to decide. Friday, the day everything would be decided. By noon, Somto had made his choice. He met Tund in the corner of a dusty car park behind a mechanic's workshop. "You're sure they won't see you?" Somto asked. Tund adjusted the small earpiece in his ear. "They'll never know I'm there. I'll be far enough not to spook them, close enough if something goes wrong. But remember, no sudden moves, no lies. Give them whatever you have." Somto swallowed hard. 1.2 million. That's all. At 5:40 p.m., the hidden number called. "You have the money?" "Yes," Somto replied. "Good. Mile 3 under bridge. Come alone. Walk to the far pillar. Leave the bag and walk away. If we see anyone with you, she dies." Mile 3 was chaos as usual, traders shouting, buses blaring horns, the air thick with exhaust fumes and the smell of fried plantain. Somto's hands tightened around the black duffel bag. As he walked toward the far pillar, somewhere in the crowd, Tund blended in, pretending to check his phone. Somto placed the bag at the base of the concrete pillar and stepped back, heart hammering. From the corner of his eye, he saw a young man in a face cap stroll casually toward the bag. No words, no glances, just a swift pickup and a turn toward the street. Tund began to follow. But just then, Somto's phone buzzed again. "We have the bag. Now go home and wait. If all goes well, you'll see her before midnight." Somto's breath caught. "Where is she now? I need proof." The line went dead. In the warehouse, Chidinma sat in the dark, her heart racing as she heard the men speaking. "Money's in. Let's move her." Hands yanked her up. A sack was pulled over her head. The rope around her wrists bit into her skin as they dragged her outside. She could hear a vehicle door slide open. Then, in the distance, a sound she didn't expect. Tires screeching ... shouts ... gunshots. The gunfire tore through the night air like cracks of lightning. Chidinma froze, her breathing loud inside the sack over her head. She could hear men shouting, some voices she recognized, others not. Then, rough hands grabbed her and shoved her to the ground. "Stay down," a voice barked. She wasn't sure if it was one of the kidnappers or someone trying to help. Her pulse pounded so hard she could barely hear anything else. Back at mile 3, Somto's phone rang. It was Tund. "We have her. She's shaken but alive. Meet us at the clinic on Rumuola Road, and be ready for questions." Somto's knees almost gave way. "She's alive. Yes, but we had to take 2 of them down. The others ran. It's not over yet." At the small private clinic, the fluorescent lights made everything look too bright, too clean. Chidinma sat on a narrow bed, her hands wrapped in fresh bandages, her face pale but calm. When she saw Mama, she broke. Tears streamed down her cheeks as they embraced. The hug tight, desperate, and wordless. Somto stood by the door, relief flooding through him like warm water after a long freeze. Mama whispered into Chidinma's hair, "God kept you. That's all that matters." Later that night, Tund pulled Somto aside. "You were lucky. Very lucky. If we'd been a minute late..." He didn't finish the sentence. Somto nodded, his throat tight. "Thank you. For everything." Tund's expression hardened. "The gang's still out there. Keep your eyes open. And tell your sister, be careful. Not everyone who smiles at you in this city means you well." Back at home, the generator hummed again. The 3 of them sat in the living room, sipping tea. No one said much. Words felt too small for what they had just survived. Chidinma glanced at her mother and brother, their faces tired but present. She thought about the dark van, the ropes, the threats, and about the moment she heard the gunshots and realized she might live to see another day. She took a deep breath. "I'm home," she whispered. And for now, that was enough.